Well, barring a final twist, which could happen, but as of right now, it looks like the effort to destroy Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination by destroying his reputation has failed. One possible reason for that failure could be that Stormy Daniels' lawyer overreached and made absurd gang rape allegations that reminded people that actually the presumption of innocence matters. That's why we've had it for over 1,000 years in the West. But that wasn't the only thing we learned or that mattered. According to the Wall Street Journal, Christine Ford's friend, Leland Kaiser, from Chevy Chase, Maryland, told the FBI she faced massive pressure from Ford's friends to change her sworn statement and say that she remembered the party where Kavanaugh supposedly assaulted her. Dan Bongino is a former Secret Service agent and NYPD officer, author of the book Spygate, The Attempted Sabotage of Donald J. Trump. He joins us tonight. So, Dan, you're a former sworn officer, a law enforcement officer. Is attempting to get someone to change sworn testimony legal?
Legal? Absolutely not. Not only would you be fired from your job, I was a cop and a federal agent, so I've seen it at the local and federal level. There's potential there, depending on the degree of it, that you'd be locked up yourself issuing your own statement. No, this is entirely unethical. And Tucker, I believe the Senate Republicans have finally decided that it's time to fight back against this. I don't know if you saw Chuck Grassley's letter, but in there he says, in light of recently uncovered information, and he asks them to turn over a bunch of new documents. I think that they see that there may be some potential legal malfeasance going on here, and good for them for fighting back.
And this is apparently, according to the account we read today, a former Secret Service, a former FBI employee who tried to get Leland Kaiser to change her sworn statement. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was McLean with a friend, the lifelong friend, whose name was given up by the ex-boyfriend of Dr. Ford as well. What's particularly disturbing about this whole story, Tucker, is the Senate Republicans treated Dr. Ford there with a degree of very serious dignity. They put her up there. They let her tell her story. They treated her with respect. They brought in a professional prosecutor to question her. There were no politically biased questions. They just tried to get the facts out. The facts had, as we know, there were enormous numbers of holes. And this case, it's starting to look really bad for the Democrats who put this together. And Avenatti's not helping.
No. And, as you well know, since you follow this so carefully, it's an asymmetrical contest between one side that's very literal and the other side will do anything.
Yeah, it's a euphemism game with them. But, Tucker, can I just say, without getting too ridiculous or hyperbolic, we can define ourselves by negation, right? The whole resistance movement on the left is doing that. They're defining themselves by what they're not. They don't like Donald Trump. I believe the entrance into Avenatti into this case was the turning point. This guy's a creep. He's a disgrace to the legal profession, and everybody knows it. And people watched that on TV, independents, women voters, moderates, and they looked at that and they said, you know what? We're not that guy. That's not us.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, whatever he's for, I'm not for it. And I think that's right. I think it's a fair conclusion. Dan Bongino, it's always great to have you. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Joining us now is Dan Summers. John Summers. He's a former communications director for Senator Harry Reid. John, thanks a lot for coming on. So what's your reaction to this story that an ally of Christine Ford's, according to Leland Kaiser apparently, tried to get Kaiser to change her sworn testimony, which, as you just heard, and I think we both agree, is a crime. It's certainly wrong. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't know that I agree it's a crime, and it is something that we've seen on both sides. We know that Kavanaugh, was also talking to his friend. She was talking to hers. So, I think what it all boils down to,
hold on. Before you I think I followed it pretty closely. Is there an allegation that someone was pushed to change sworn testimony?
There was talk about Kavanaugh talking with his friends who might be approached by the FBI. And the way that you're characterizing her as changing her testimony was not actually the way that story was written in the Wall Street Journal.
She's saying that she was pushed to change her account.
She was saying that she was asked to revisit her account. I'm not going to defend that. That's not for me to defend, because I don't actually think that was the right thing to do, but both sides are guilty. What I actually do think the right thing to do would have been would be for everyone to take a breath and take a step back and actually take the time to go in and investigate all this stuff, both on behalf of the accused and the accuser, so there could be some clarity brought to this and the right people can be held accountable. And
So when you
unfortunately,
saw
that was missing in this process because there was a rush to get it done. It would have been nice if we'd been able to take a breath and look at all of this.
There's only 7 FBI investigations into Kavanaugh. I do think we would need an 8th FBI investigation to, clear his name from charges that don't make any sense.
Hastert also had clearance, and no one knew he was a child molester for a long, long time. So let's be clear that
we're not going to wait. Hold on. Let me be clear. What we're not going to do is try to impugn Brett Kavanaugh's reputation by comparing him to a child molester, because that would be wrong, and guilt by association. It's got nothing to do with Denny Hastert, as you know. But let me ask you this. When you see your senator from the Democratic Party, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, announce his vote, which is consistent with what his voters want, according to public opinion polling, and a bunch of angry left-wing children surround him and scream at him, does that bother you at all? I mean, is that the kind of democratic process that you want for your country?
I mean, people do have the opportunity to approach their elected officials and make their voices heard.
And scream at them?
Joe Manchin.
But let's be
it's not
cold.
appropriate to scream at them. No,
I defend the First Amendment in a way that the left does not. So I will take a backseat to no one on the First Amendment question. They have a right to do it, I guess. But is that what you want? Do you want people screaming at lawmakers until they change their view? And if that's okay, why is it not okay to slash their tires or throw a Molotov cocktail through their front? No, I'm serious. If you're going to bully people, what's the kind of limit to that?
Well, and you've got bullying on both sides. We know that both sides have been doing this. Oh, you
really?
Absolutely do, Tucker.
So show me the mob. Show me the mob of screaming right-wing children that's changed a vote. I
actually think it's a waste of time to go after and scream at Manchin and do all of that. He's voted the way I expected he would vote the entire time, which I think is viewed by him as the politically safe way to go. I have to say, I'm actually really impressed. Right. I'm really impressed with Senators Collins, Murkowski, and Heitkamp, because it was very clear that all 3 of them put some serious thought into this. I still expected Collins to vote the way that we expect her to vote tomorrow on the confirmation, but it was clear that she actually put some thought into it. I don't agree with everything she said, but it was clear she put some thought into it.
She made a reasonable case, and now she's being dismissed as some right-wing crazy, which is hilarious.
And the same, the same sort of thoughtfulness can be applied to Murkowski and Heitkamp as well. A Republican, a Democrat.
Heitkamp,
from 2 of the
but
most
Murkowski
conservative
made it
states in the country.
nonsensical. Yeah.
What's that?
Well, good luck to them. Good luck to them. John, thank you very much for coming on
Thanks,
tonight.
Tucker.
One Republican senator says